kind of brings us to our last segment, which is metamorphosing gender-based violence, transforming from gender-based violence. And I feel like there have been so many examples in Sri Lanka and beyond of people who have transformed. So even one of my idols is Oprah Winfrey, and she was abused sexually when she was very young, I think by someone in her family, and then she got pregnant at the age of 14, born in a very poor country, and the same woman went on to transform her life, but not only help herself, but millions of people. She's the biggest Black philanthropist in America today. She was the first Black billionaire, being a woman, being Black, and then even close to home, we have examples of Kumudini David, who went through abuse for almost 10 to 12 years in her childhood, and then how she transformed it. So how do we transform from this? Because that is the only way. There's this famous quote which Gaia talks about: the only way out is in. How do we find a way out by transforming from the inside?
The only way out is through, like you said. You first, when you're boarding a flight and are waiting to take off, they have the emergency video, right? So if in case of an emergency, before putting the oxygen mask on your kid, you put it on yourself, and then you go on to put the oxygen mask on your kid. So it starts with you, right? And it's never too late, right? You could be in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 70s, it doesn't matter, as long as you're ready to kind of change, or ready to, or in a state or in a place where you can transform yourself, right? So your mindset matters as well. And your catastrophe doesn't have to define you, right? Yes, an incident that took place doesn't have to define your future. It's about transforming and learning from that and moving forward. And again, I think it's finding your support circle, right? Because of course you don't want to have just one person for everything, because then that person burns out as well. So it's about who you go for what. So you have many people to go to, and make sure that you do trust them when you confide in people. And again, as a community, I guess we can build safe, psychologically safe spaces with confidentiality, train people to handle individuals and their information that comes with it confidentially. So in non-judgmental ways, and maintaining that anonymity to help them move forward. And I think it starts with you. It starts with you. And again, you could be at any age. It's about not comparing. They say, there's a saying that don't compare your chapter of a book with somebody else's chapter. You could be in chapter 1, the other person could be in chapter 10, 32. It doesn't matter, as long as you just start, right? And if you don't like where you're at, move, Jim Rohn said. He underestimated the power of the pandemic, but yeah, I think that's a good quote. If you don't like where you're at, move. You can certainly find a place where you can grow. And again, ask yourself why, how, who you want to be and who you would want to be in the future. And then, map out your meaning, what makes sense to you and what you want to be. Because like I said, your past doesn't have to define your future, and your catastrophe doesn't have to define who you are, right? You could always change.
Thank you. And just few things I would like to add to that is really trying to look at each experience as a learning opportunity. Because what I've realized is, like, through 15 years of, really digging deep into myself and spirituality, mindfulness, mental health, all these things, and where I've come to now is really that each experience that is coming in front of us is trying to teach us something, and really just being curious about what could that learning be. What can I learn from this? What fear is it triggering in me? What shame is it triggering in me? Why am I holding that shame? What am I believing about myself that is triggering this? And just bringing that awareness in, I feel like mindset shifts is where it starts. When you start to look at yourself differently, things outside change too, but really it starts with yourself. And actually, next month we are launching the Inner Reset talk show, which is all about inner transformation, where we're talking to people like Gaia Koditavaku, who transformed from drug addiction, homelessness, being suicidal depressive, to being the powerhouse that she is today, helping women all around the world transform themselves, and many more people. Because I really feel like it's time for us to take our power back and to realize that our healing lies in our hands, and we can do it.
100%. Yeah. I agree with you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's I'm excited about it, but I really feel like with our conversation today, and with the world we're living in, that it's so important to have these conversations and get people to start thinking differently, so that they're not imprisoned by. Another thing I've realized when I was talking to someone was that, especially in Sri Lanka, a lot of people don't step out of their community, their small community or their city, and then that also is caging, because they don't have that exposure to different ways of thinking, different ways of living.
Yeah. That's really important. I think you're referring to a growth mindset. So the moment you realize that everything in life is about learning, and accepting to, being open towards new behaviors, new ways of doing things, dealing with people, that's where you grow. That's where you leave your comfort zone. The more you leave your comfort zone, you start learning, right? And yeah, have your identity, right? But be willing to move around. If you have the bell curve, your identity would be there in, that mean area, but don't move too much so that you lose your identity, but be free to, work around and see what you're capable of.
Yeah, experiment with it. Yeah, because actually we grow and we evolve. I'm not the same person I was 5 years back or even 1 year back, right? We're constantly growing and evolving and changing. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Iranjali. This has been so good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and look forward to talking to you further. Thank you for sharing so much wisdom and knowledge on these topics and helping all of us learn so much more about them.
Well, it's a pleasure working with you, Home Tree Co-working, and also Alvin for supporting this discussion.